Chinese Cinderella by Adeline Chapter 18. Miserable Sunday. 2 years later, summer 1951. During Mass at the cathedral, I kept thinking, it's Sunday again and I feel so blue. There is no doubt about it. Sunday is my least favorite day of the week. Just thinking about it makes me cringe. Thank goodness it's the last Sunday of the summer term. After Mass, we filed two by two back to school, then immediately dashed into the refectory for breakfast. As usual, Mother Mary wheeled in a huge vat of steaming boiled eggs. These eggs were precious because you couldn't just order them from the sisters, no matter how rich your father was. Someone from home had to care about you enough to take the trouble and bring fresh eggs to you personally during visiting hours on Sunday, carefully wrapped and padded in newspapers. In addition, you had to paint your school number in indelible ink on the shell and retrieve your egg when Mother Mary called your number during breakfast. Then you walked back to your seat with your egg perched proudly in your egg cup, showing the whole world that you were cherished and beloved. Since no one had ever come to visit me, let alone brought me an egg, it was humiliating to sit there morning after morning looking on, knowing my number would never come up. During these sessions, I usually pretended to be deaf and preoccupied. Suddenly, my friend Rachel showed my elbow. Do you hear what I hear, Adeline? Mother just called your number, 37. Impossible, but sure enough, I heard Mother Mary plainly this time, number 37. I rose with amazed delight. The whole refectory was now silent. All eyes were watching me. Nobody believed my number had been called, nor did I. I returned with my prize settled in its very own cup. The first time in 2 years. Finally, an egg after 730 eggless mornings. Carefully, I examined its surface. The number 37 was plainly visible, painted in black ink on the smooth brownish shell. I thought, who is it from? Do I have a secret admirer? Dare I eat it? Is it really mine to be consumed at will? I imagined tapping my egg with the back of my spoon, cracking its top, delicately peeling off the broken bits of shell, and digging into its white membranous surface. Oh, what bliss to taste that wonderful rich yolk on my tongue and let it slide deliciously down my throat. So very, very tempting. I longed for it, yet I knew very well it was not mine. It was a mistake, perhaps a trick or a cruel practical joke. What if the rightful owner came up while I was in the middle of enjoying my egg and claimed it? What should I do then? Once I broke the shell, there was no going back. I steeled myself and got up from the table. Mother Mary had just handed out the last egg and was about to leave with her empty vat. I approached her hesitantly, feeling confused and defensive, and handed back the egg. Mother Mary, this is not mine. Impatiently, she dropped the vat and scrutinized my egg with a sigh. It says 37. What is your number? Are you number 37? Yes, mother. Then the egg is yours. No, it can't be. Why not? Why can't it be? Everyone had stopped eating and was listening intently. There was not a sound. This is terrible, I thought. I am drawing attention to myself and broadcasting my state of perpetual egglessness. What can I say that's logical and convincing and still preserve a bit of dignity? My parents know I hate boiled eggs. That's why they never bring me any. I blurted out, my face burning with shame at the lie. So there is no possibility this egg can be mine. Behind me, I heard someone, probably Monica, snickering and saying in a loud stage whisper, I suppose she hates chocolates and mangoes too. That's why no one ever comes on Sunday to bring her any goodies at all. 17-year-old Monica Lim was 3 years older than I and the daughter of one of the richest tycoons in Hong Kong. She was tall, pretty, and well groomed. Her Nick 164 name was Brains because she routinely led her class. Rumors were she would have been the head girl the next year. She would be head girl the next year. Every Sunday, Monica dressed in the latest European fashion to greet her mother, who reputedly was not her illustrious father's real wife, but merely a concubine and a former bar girl. During visiting hours on Sunday, the only day we boarders were allowed to dress in street clothes, Monica and her mother looked like models as they strutted around the schoolyard in fashionable costumes, embellished with padded bras, silk stockings, tailored kukbas, and imported high heel shoes. Besides eggs, her mother brought Monica soda crackers, malted milk balls, Cadbury candy bars, beef jerky, seasonal fresh fruit, and ice cream. On her birthday, Monica traditionally got a giant cream cake covered with luscious strawberries, which she shared only with certain handpicked friends. Because of her father's fabulous wealth, she was much pampered by the nuns and received many special privileges. For a long time, Monica ignored me. She was one of the elite group of beautiful big girls whom we plain little ones were supposed to admire and worship from afar. Then we both got picked to write for the school magazine. In three successive issues, my essays were selected over hers by Mother Agnes, our editor. At the end of my first year at Sacred Heart, I skipped a grade and the girls started calling me scholar. They began comparing my writing to Monica's. One day I accidentally bumped into her in the library and she said resentfully, "Instead of trying to memorize every book in here, you would be more popular if you get yourself some pretty dresses instead." I felt my face go hot because I knew I looked terrible. Having no money and not knowing where to buy a bra, I tried to hide my budding breast by wearing two sets of shrunken underwear to flatten my chest. Besides my uniforms, I possessed only one old fashioned plain brown Sunday dress that was too small, too short, and too tight. I always wore tennis shoes because those were the only shoes available for sale in the school gym, and Mother Mary had permission to charge them to father's account at her discretion. As for my hair, well, I knew I would better not even think about it. So I swallowed my anger and walked away. In spite of Monica's unkind remarks about my lack of visitors on Sundays, the girls ignored her and nobody else made fun of me. Towards the end of breakfast, Mother Mary announced that because it was the last Sunday before the beginning of the summer holidays, visiting hours were being extended from 2 hours to 3. Everyone cheered, but I felt jittery. When I was nervous, I always had to go to the bathroom. It was crowded with everyone preparing to meet their parents. They were preening themselves in front of the mirror and arranging their hair. Not yet. Better wait another half hour. I sauntered into the library and picked out a few books. What a beautiful room! Away from all the noise, giggles, and excitement. My haven, my sanctuary, the place where I belonged, my real world. But even there, I didn't feel entirely safe on Sunday mornings. It was okay for a temporary respite, but girls sometimes brought their parents in for a tour of the premises. When they saw me, they felt obliged to make polite conversation, though I would much rather they would ignore me and treat me as a part of the furniture. Sure enough, my classmate Irene Tan walked in with her mother. "This is our library, mother." "Oh, hello, Adeline. Let me introduce you to my mother. This is Adeline Yen, top student of our class. She skipped 2 grades and will be going into Form 5 after the holidays at 13. "Studying so hard, even on a Sunday?" Mrs. Tan exclaimed, turning to her daughter. "Now, why can't you be like that?" I felt like a freak and looked enviously at Irene's elegant new sandals and matching dress. "No, no, I am not studying. This is purely for pleasure and recreation." Mrs. Tan came over and glanced at my book. "What are you reading? King Lear? My. You say this is for pleasure?" I hung my head and saw my own tennis shoes with a hole at the side and wrinkled stockings with the elastic wash away, knowing I must appear very odd indeed next to Irene's stylish elegance in my old-fashioned, tight, shabby brown dress. Hanging out in the library and reading King Lear out of choice simply rounded out the whole dismal picture. A special sort of idiot savant found in Hong Kong Catholic convent schools. I was wishing fervently I could disappear when I heard Irene say, "Last Friday we were reading King Lear out loud in class," and Adeline suddenly burst out crying. I felt an intense heat spreading upward from my neck. What she reported was true, but I had no words to explain it away. The poetry and pathos of Lear had moved me so profoundly, I simply couldn't control myself. So much of his plight seemed to mirror that of my grandfather at home. Contrary to all logic, I had the uncanny sensation that Shakespeare had actually had my AA in mind when he wrote his immortal play 400 years earlier. When King Lear When Lear knelt in front of his evil daughter Regan to plead for his food and lodging, I saw my yaya dropping to his knees to say the same terrible words to my stepmother. Daughter, dear daughter, I confess that I am old. Aging is unnecessary. On my knees I beg that you will vouchsafe me remnant, bed, and food. However, Mrs. Stan was looking at me with an odd expression on her face, halfway between pity and curiosity. It made me actually uncomfortable. All I wanted was to make a quick getaway. I glanced at the clock and feigned surprise. Oh, excuse me, is it 10:15 already? I better go get ready, otherwise I'll be late. I strode out purposefully with an armful of books, though I didn't know where to head for, hating myself for my pretense. Why couldn't I tell Mrs. Tan candidly? I hide out and read in the library because my parents never come to visit me, and I don't like everyone to notice I'm the only one always left out. It's easier to make myself invisible. I wish I had someone like you. Irene is very lucky. Tentatively, I circled the bathroom. In American magazines, they describe it as casing the joint. Thank goodness it was now deserted. Furtively, I walked away at first, then retraced my steps and quickly slipped into the last, most unobtrusive lavatory stall. I locked the door and carefully placed my stack of books on the ledge by the window so that nobody would see them should anyone peek under the gap beneath the door. I ensconced myself on the toilet seat with a sigh of relief. It was smelly and damp, but I felt safe. No one could get at me. Privacy at last, no prying eyes, spiteful remarks, pitying glances. I was alone with my beloved books. What bliss! To be left in peace with Cordelia, Regan, Goneril, and Lear himself. Characters more real than my family back home or my schoolmates downstairs. The rhythm, the story, the magical words. What happiness, what comfort. All too soon, I heard footsteps approaching. Were visiting hours over? Surely it couldn't be 1 o'clock already. I heard the voices of Irene Tan, Eleanor Lou. They were trying on new dresses, hairbands, and ribbons, chuckling at the reflection in the full length bathroom mirror. What a stunning outfit, Irene was exclaiming. Do you dare go into lunch wearing this skimpy little number after what happened this morning at breakfast? That was almost too close for comfort, Eleanor replied. Why did you do it anyway? I thought Adeline might like an egg for breakfast once in a while. My number is 31 and hers is 37. Mama is always bringing me eggs on Sunday even though I tell her not to. I cannot stand eating them, especially the way they soft boil them here with the yolk all runny. Reminds me of snout. Yesterday I wrapped a half-eaten egg in my paper nap and trashed it in the wastebasket in the study when no one was looking. Unfortunately, Mother Valento, came across it and fished it out. At first, I denied it was mine, but she merely pointed to the number on the shell. It's a sin to waste food like this when so many of your countrymen are starving to death, she screamed. Then she forced me to get a spoon and eat it. Later that day, I sneaked into the kitchen and changed the number on my egg from 1 to 7. Thought Adeline might get a kick having a number called for a change. How was I to know she hates eggs? All I am aware of is that she gets neither eggs nor visitors on Sundays. They say Adeline is brilliant, but to me she is rather pathetic too. Rushing around in that infantile brown dress, looking like a refugee fresh out of a junk from the mainland. Never gets any letters either, though she is always first in line when mail gets delivered. I heard Monica say to her yesterday, expecting a letter from someone? I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you. Monica is just unhappy she and Adeline will be in the same class next term after the holidays. No brain likes to be upstaged. In spite of how she dresses, I think Adeline will be okay eventually. She has a sort of special spirit, and it's a person's inner core that counts, don't you think? The lunch bell sounded and they scuffed off. I waited a while longer, then opened the door a crack to make sure no one was around. Woo, what a relief! The coast was finally clear. In the bathroom mirror, I stared at myself while washing my hands full of inarticulate emotion. I mulled over Eleanor's secret attempt to pass on her unwanted egg for me to consume, thinking, who am I kidding? The whole world knows of my eggless state, and some even feel sorry for me. No way will I ever allow myself to be the object of anyone's charity or pity. Besides, in spite of everything, is there not a hint of respect in their sentiments towards me? I walked to my cubicle and sat at the edge of my bed after drawing the curtain around me for privacy, then stacked my books beside my flashlight in the bedside locker. Did the sisters know that I frequently read by flashlight under the bedclothes after lights out? Did other 13-year-olds also have terrifying thoughts at night and difficulty sleeping? Were they sometimes besieged by anxiety and nameless monsters of the deep? If so, how did they deal with these paralyzing fears about their future? What was their escape route? I looked down with distaste at my shrunken brown dress, two sizes too small. My refugee costume. Better change back into my school uniform before joining my peers for lunch. I thought. At least my uniform was still the right size. Thank you.